Alright, guys, now I'm back with the next part. And this is going to be part 6 to What If Naruto was an older brother. And I know this is coming a day later than I said it would, but you know, I don't really have a great excuse for it, except for the fact that my parents are kind of against this channel. Um, but yeah, I tried to record when I could, guys, so I hope you can understand that. Anyways, last part we did leave on a bit of a cliffhanger, and basically we left when Kurama had made contact with Naruto. Now, why he did that, why he was able to do that is going to come up in a second. I'm, you know, metaphorically. But anyways, enough dilly dallying now, and let's get straight to the video. So we left off when Naruto was telling the Kyuubi, "What are you doing here, Nine Tails?" And guys, I think you can guess why Naruto and Kurama are able to talk to each other now. But if you didn't, here it's coming right now. And Kurama was like, "What? So you don't expect that I would be able to contact you once you make a summoning contract with my clan?" And Naruto scratches a chin and was like, I suppose that makes sense, but why exactly have you made contact with me? And please don't try to waste your time trying to convince me that you're some evil entity that wants to destroy everything. I know that Obito was the one who released you from your imprisonment in my mother and made you rampage in the Hidden Leaf village with his Sharingan. So let's try to keep a blank slate here. And Kurama was like, "First of all, don't you dare mention that wretched dojutsu in front of me. And second of all, don't think that someone like you can be so presumptuous about me. However, your observations were quite astute. But did you know that even after your father broke Obito's control over me with his Sharingan, I still continued attacking the village?" And this was news to Naruto because he just presumed that for some reason Obito wanted to use Kurama to destroy the Hidden Leaf village by controlling it with a Sharingan. However, now the Kyuubi was telling him that uh, it also continued to destroy the Hidden Leaf village after it regained its control over its body and started destroying the village of its own will. And at this point, Naruto knew that he would have to become a lot stronger in order to help his sister deal with such a hateful creature. And while he still did want to give the Kyuubi a small benefit of doubt, that it was possibly just angry for, that it was about to be imprisoned again, which would be quite understandable, he still had reason to be suspicious of the Kyuubi's intentions. And he still did have to get stronger in order to prevent anything that it might try to do that might result in harming anyone or anything he cared about. And he also decided to not let the pride get the better, let his pride get the better of him next time, and start making assumptions about things that he doesn't fully know. This was one of the biggest challenges for someone as smart as Naruto, as his prodigious intellect and skill would sometimes cause him to get a slight arrogance. However, Naruto tried his best to repress this sensation by reminding himself that no matter how strong or how intelligent he was, there would be someone more intelligent than him somewhere in the world. Anyways, Naruto looked back up at the Kyuubi and was like, "I'm sorry about that. I am not exactly in the position to claim to know about your personality at this point. But, anyways, for what exact reason are you here?" And the QB was like, "I have come to give you a warning. Do not, do not try to interfere with your sister's relationship with me. If you do, I'm going to take control of her and kill everyone you hold dear." and afterwards I'm gonna wipe out this village. I mean, I will do that even if you don't try to interfere and put and stick your nose out of it. But at least in that scenario, I might leave her alive. You know what I mean? And Naruto was like, in other circumstances, I would stand my ground and challenge you, saying that I will interfere and I will become strong enough to stop you. However, with the amount of food I need to consume just to stay alive, especially with my ever increasing chakra pool, I don't know how much longer I have to live before it gets too expensive for the Leaf Village to have me as an asset. So fortunately for you, I'm not sure I'll be around for much longer. And the Kyuubi was like, so you will challenge me if it weren't for the current circumstances. I do love a good challenge, so I'll give you the method that us tail beasts used to stay alive. After all, with our massive chakra pools, we cannot support them by eating meals. So, what you have to do in order to nourish your body is to learn how to utilize natural energy. There is no shortage of natural energy scattered out throughout the world, and if you learn to harness it, you can use it to nourish yourself, to refresh your mind like how sleeping does, and even use senjutsu. And Naruto was like, I've heard of Sage Mode and Senjutsu and how it normally works. But I thought that only the toads and the snakes have a form of Sage Mode that they can teach their summoners. By any chance, does the Demon Fox clan have any type of Sage Mode that they can teach me? And Kurama was like, as a matter of fact, they do. Do you know how to use a reverse summoning jutsu? And Naruto was like, it's just the summoning hand signs in reverse, right? And Kurama was like, yes. Now visit the home of the demon foxes and learn how to utilize their sage mode this month. And Naruto was like, Kyuubi, I know we are not on the best terms right now, but thank you for your advice. You have effectively saved my life by telling me this. I'll visit the demon foxes today and request them to teach me sage mode. And Kurama was like, Brad, don't get too cocky. I see the potential in you to be able to grow, for you to be able to grow strong enough to challenge me, but I'm no easy game. I will say this though, I do wish you were my Jinchuriki instead of your sister. And Naruto raised an eyebrow and was like, why is that? And the QB was like, well, you seem to be capable of intelligent conversation unlike her. The way she acts now, I can almost see it. She'll grow up to become some naive, idealistic fool who keeps charging into situations without a plan. And he got kind of pissed at this, but then he kind of held it back because the QB had given him like pretty much life saving advice, and he was like, "Give her time. Perhaps she may learn at a different pace." And the QB just snorted before disappearing, and Naruto was like, that was a rather fast exit. But first, I gotta try that reverse summoning jutsu. It might seem a bit selfish asking the demon fox clan, to teach me sage mode so quickly after I got the summoning, by signing the summoning contract. However, I hope that they'll understand if they know that I need this method to survive. So with this, Naruto exited his mindscape and performed a reverse summoning jutsu. And Naruto was suddenly in a large valley with foxes of all sizes and colors walking around, and several heads turned as the foxes saw their new summoner in their home territory. And Naruto found Midori. Midori was like, Naruto, what are you doing here? And Naruto was like, Midori, perfect, just the person I needed to see. Or Fox in this case. And Midori was like, if you needed to see me, you could have just summoned. Common sense, Naruto. And Naruto was like, calm down, Midori, it's not for that. I have to speak with your mother about something very important. And Midori suddenly went into business mode and nodded her head as she, bounded off towards the main building there where her mother lived, and that was basically like her, you know, castle kind of thing, like throne room or whatever you call it. I think you basically get the idea, like wherever she rules from, basically. So, anyways, as they walked inside, Midori's mother Shiro looked at Naruto and was like, "Ah, it seems our summoner has come to visit me already. What is it you need, Naruto?" And Naruto's like, "It might be a little selfish asking this of you already, but I have a critical request to make you." And Shiro was like, "What is it, Naruto?" And Naruto was like, "Please teach me Demon Fox Sage mode." So Naruto's request caused Shiro to narrow her eyes in suspicion because it was Naruto's selflessness and intelligence that caused her to even choose him as a summoner. So, anyways, she decided to give him the benefit of the doubt first and was like, "Why do you want to know? And why do you want to learn about Demon Fox Sage mode?" And Naruto was like, "The Kyuubi told me that if I learned this Sage mode, I'd be able to use it for my own sustenance and to retain my mental stability and alertness without the need of sleep. The thing is, my chakra pool is so large that I need to eat copious amounts of food to maintain it. And the scary thing about that is my chakra pool is steadily getting larger, meaning I'll require more and more food to maintain it. I know that a person's chakra pool grows until they're around the age of 25. And I am only 8 years old and my chakra pool is so large already. So the hidden leaf will not be able to support my existence in the near future." And Shiro basically felt a slight amount of pity for Naruto. And she was like, "So basically, you're telling me that if you do not learn our Sage mode, then you will not survive for much longer." And Naruto was like, "Exactly. So once again, I request you, please teach me your Sage mode." And Shiro was like, "But Naruto, see, the thing is, Sage mode takes years to master. Do you have that kind of time?" And Naruto was like, "I only have a month before the next stage of the Chunin exams, but I'll try to learn as much of it as possible by then." And after giving it a bit of thought, Shiro was like, "Hmm. Well, you do have a prodigious level of skill, so I do suppose it's possible that you will learn a lot of the nuances of Demon Fox Sage mode in 1 month. However, I don't think you can master all of its capabilities by the end of this month." And Naruto was like, "As long as I know how to use it for sustenance, that's all I need for now." And Shiro was like, "I suppose that can be arranged. Alright then, I will be teaching you our Sage mode. So when do you want to start?" And Naruto was like, "In another 10 minutes. I'll just go and inform my teammates where I have gone to train, and then we can start our training." And Shiro was like, "Alright, I agree with that idea." And Naruto basically just, uh, was reverse summoned back to, this hotel that he was in, and he told Itachi and Anko where he was going, and Itachi and Anko were like, "I think it's a good idea that all of us train with our summons in order to master some collaboration techniques and other methods in which we fight with summons." And Anko was like, "Alright then, so Itachi will be training with the crows, and I will be training with my snakes, and Naruto will be training with the foxes then." And Naruto was like, "I suppose that's the best idea. It'll also eliminate the possibility of other teams spying on us and learning of our techniques." And all three of them nodded before, summoning their, familiars For Itachi, it was a crow. I mean, I won't really be naming this crow because Itachi doesn't really have any of those kind of like personal summons or familiars. And for Anko's familiar snake, I will be naming it Ryuga from Beyblade, if you know that anime. It basically means dragon fang, and he's one of the characters in Beyblade. If you want, you can look him up. And this snake is basically like it basically has the slight appearance of a dragon, and it also uses mainly fire and wind techniques, along with a small affinity for lightning. All right. So, anyways, they all summon their main summons, and obviously Naruto summons Midori, and all of them get reverse summoned back to their summoning realms, and Naruto met back with Shiro and was like, "All right, I have informed my friends, so could we please begin training now?" And Shiro was like, "All right then, follow me." So, basically, Shiro took Naruto to an extremely quiet spot in the valley where Naruto couldn't even hear the sound of the wind or leaves rustling around or anything like that. And Shiro turned back to Naruto and was like, "So, Naruto, what would you say foxes are known for?" And after thinking about it for a few seconds, Naruto was like, "Their stealth. This feature of theirs allows them to be the animal that's most closely related to a shinobi, as it is commonly known that a shinobi's weapon is stealth, or rather, his strongest weapon is stealth. And foxes are also quite well known for deception, another one of the greatest strengths of the shinobi." And basically, Shiro was like, You're perfectly right, Naruto. A fox's sage mode utilizes the stealth aspect of a fox, and the purity of sage mode in and of itself basically prevents us from incorporating the deception aspect of our personalities, if you could call it that, in our sage mode. And as you can feel here, Demon Fox Sage mode has made it so quiet that practicing stealth here is almost impossible. And Naruto was like, "But you were able to do it." And Shiro was like, "A very astute observation, Naruto. You were able to observe that my paws made absolutely no sound as I moved through this part of the valley. However, that's why I said almost impossible. Only someone who has truly mastered Demon Fox Age mode can walk through this part of the valley without making a sound." And Naruto was like, "That's very impressive. But what does this have to do with me learning Sage mode? A test, perhaps?" And Shiro was like, "You're absolutely correct yet again, Naruto. Once you learn to harness our natural energy, you will have to move through this valley without making a single sound if you want to move on to the next stage of practicing our sage mode, which is learning the demon sage arts. Passing this test will only prove that you have mastered harnessing demon fox sage mode. But then, afterwards, you will have to learn the demon sage arts, the demon fox sage arts, in order to utilize your sage mode." And Naruto was like, "I see. This is all very interesting. How do I get started on this?" And Shiro was like, "Assume the position that is the most relaxed for you, with all your muscles loose, and you basically being incorporated with nature. You should be absolutely still, and even your breaths should not disturb your body's stillness." And Naruto was like, "Is that really possible without dying?" And Shiro was like, "Why, yes, after all, I have mastered it, isn't that right?" And Naruto was like, "I suppose that's fair." And Naruto stood up straight, closed his eyes as all of his muscles started to relax. And Shiro was like, You're already off to a great start, Naruto. All your muscles are relaxing very well." Now remember, maintain stillness as you absorb natural energy. And Naruto brought his rate as low as possible in order to avoid disturbing his body's stillness. However, what Naruto wasn't prepared for was a large surge of natural energy that flowed through him, causing him to stumble and fall to the ground. And he opened his eyes and was like, "What happened?" And Shiro was like, "Unfortunately, your large chakra reserves are kind of a problem here. See, the way natural energy absorption works is that when you relax your body and maintain stillness, your spiritual energy and physical energy, your components of your chakra, they are compressed to make room for the extra natural energy that you're trying to absorb. However, this creates a vacuum, and the stronger the vacuum, the more natural energy is pulled in at once. And due to the levels of chakra that you have, the vacuum created is extremely large, and the natural energy that flows through you is more difficult to control. However, don't fret too much about it because the only thing you need to do is a little bit of practice." And Naruto nodded before assuming his position again. So now we fast forward a week, and Naruto has learned to, you know, absorb natural energy and balance it with his physical and spiritual energy to create a senjutsu chakra. And now he had to work on moving stealthily with it in order to harness demon fox sage mode. So basically, Naruto was carefully balancing the natural energy within him while trying to move stealthily throughout the field. And due to Naruto's previous training, he already had a lot of stealth, practice, and he was able to move stealthily. But then, um, in a place where there was literally zero sound at all, even the slightest movements caused some rustling. And Naruto was like, "I wonder how Shiro did it." And as he practiced for a few more hours, Shiro turned up behind him and was like, "How is it going, Naruto?" And Naruto was like, not too well. No matter how hard I try, I'm not able to avoid making the smallest rustling sounds." And Shiro was like, "Why didn't you first try to practice this without the Sage mode? And afterwards you incorporate, the Sage mode that you learned into this." And Naruto was like, that's a pretty excellent idea. Then I'll have to only focus on one thing at a time." And Shiro was like, hmm. Anyways, would you like me to demonstrate, how to move through this area in order to be more stealthy? And Naruto was like, "I think that would be a good idea." And Shiro was like, "All right, observe carefully." And Naruto trained his eyesight straight on, Shiro, and focused hard as he watched her, walk. And he also like expanded his sensory range, and made sure he was able to sense any changes in her chakra. And he saw that she was basically focusing her chakra on her feet, and she was using that technique to move through the valley. And all of the movements that she made were made with grace and poise in order to create the least sound possible. Naruto strained his ears to see if he could hear anything at all, but he wasn't able to hear any sound of Shiro walking, even though he had extremely sensitive hearing. And Naruto was like, "All right, I had a good enough observation." And Shiro was like, "Very nice. Now will you get to practice?" And Naruto was like, "Definitely." And he started practicing by training his chakra on his feet, but he realized that it wasn't as easy as that. He had to be aware of every single blade of grass that he stepped on and apply enough chakra to avoid rustling it. His already impeccable chakra control allowed him to be able to do such a thing, but it was still extremely difficult, especially since he stepped on hundreds of blades of grass at a time, and it was very difficult to bring his chakra to that exact point where his foot touched the grass. But after about another week, he was able to, complete this exercise, making Shiro really proud of him. And she was like, "All right, Naruto, this is extremely good progress that you're making. Even I had underestimated the amount of progress you were capable of making." And Naruto was like, "Thank you, Shiro. Now, could you please teach me to maintain my nutrition using the Sage mode?" And Shiro was like, "Just a word of caution here, Naruto, before we start doing that. Teaching someone to use our Sage mode to maintain their nutrition was something that we never had plans of teaching anyone, even our future summoner. This is because this aspect of our Sage mode is only used by the demon foxes. You've already seen how a perfect demon fox Sage mode transforms your body. However, learning this variant of our Sage mode will cause you to remain in it eternally. Are you sure you would want to continue to learn it?" And Naruto knew what she was talking about. Basically, perfect demon fox Sage mode caused his pupils to become slitted like a fox's, and his the outline of his eyelids became a lot thicker and more black, like as if he was wearing an eyeliner. Like if you remember Gara, it's basically like what he looked. So, anyways, also his canines became a longer and sharper, and three whisker marks appeared on each side of his cheek. So, and also his ears became slightly pointier. So, anyways, Naruto was fine with retaining these features if it meant surviving for a longer time. So he nodded, um, and basically gave his consent to let Shiro teach him this part of Demon Fox Age mode. So basically, Shiro was actually quite happy to pass this knowledge on to Naruto because like throughout the time she was training him, she absolutely, you know, uh, loved his attitude and his approach to life, and she was really proud to have him as a summoner. So she was like, "All right, let's get started." So now we have a time skip of about another 2 weeks, during which Naruto learned. So, anyways, after this time skip, Naruto learned how to maintain his nutrition with Demon Fox Age mode. Also, how to avoid sleeping. You know, by refreshing his mind and maintaining alertness using this Sage mode, and he learned to use the super speed and super strength of this Sage mode, and he could also grow his nails into claws, with the combination of Demon Fox Sage mode and his Shikotsumyaku. And he also learned the Fox Fist style of fighting, but he didn't learn the main skill of Demon Fox Sage mode, which is to use Foxfire, which created extremely hot flames which were really difficult to put out and were only second to Amaterasu. And also any burns that are caused by them are basically extremely difficult to heal, and they would leave a permanent scar. And he also learned how to direct his senjutsu energy to any injured parts of his body to heal them like within a few seconds. So yeah, Naruto was getting hella OP here. And during this time skip, Itachi learned to use his like classic crow genjutsu. Like he did use it in the fight against Zabuza, I think it was. Yeah, he was fighting Zabuza. So he did use it against Zabuza, but that was only his crow substitution. But he like during this time skip he learned how to use crow genjutsu, And he also learned, honed his genjutsu to the point where he could, famously cast a genjutsu on someone just by pointing at them. And and during the same time, Anko learned. Yeah, guys. Anyways, Anko, she trained in snake style taijutsu, and by that I mean the snake fist, which Orochimaru trained in, and she learned the striking shadow snakes jutsu, and tons of fire and earth collaboration jutsus with Ryuga, as well as fire and wind. Because when Ryuga uses fire, she can use earth, and when Ryuga uses wind, she can use fire. And she had also trained hard enough to unlock her third nature transformation, which was wind, with the help of Ryuga. Because Ryuga also specialized in wind, he was able to give her pointers on how to, basically access the wind chakra nature. She also learned two more jutsus in each element, and she learned two basic jutsus in wind release, which are wind style breakthrough and wind style gale palm, which complemented her her snake fist fighting style. However, the downside was that she couldn't really train her genjutsu because snake. It wasn't really the thing that the snakes would do. Like genjutsu wasn't really a specialty of theirs, or like it wasn't practiced by them in general. So she didn't learn any genjutsu. I mean, she knew a few from before, but like during the time skip for the training, she didn't learn any, or like hone her genjutsu skills in general. So, anyways, they made it out, and they made it back to the Chunin exams final round after they finished their training. And by the way, guys, I am recording the last like 30 minutes of this video outside because like I wasn't really getting any time inside the house, so I had to go out and record it. So if there is any difference in the quality because of this, I'm sorry, but there's not really much I could do about it. And one more thing is, I'm going to go pretty fast from now on. Like, I'm not going to really go into the details much because it's already been 7 parts, and we're not really near the start of Natsumi's training as a shinobi. And you guys all know that, it's during that period that all the good shit happens. The entire Naruto arc. So, like I'm going to pretty much finish the entire tuning exams arc within this video, and I'll see how much more I can cover after that. So anyways, all of them made it back to the tuning exams, that examination room. So Fuguki was there, and he was like, alright, brat, so this is how it's gonna work. You're all gonna draw lots out of this little box here. And you look at that chart to see which number corresponds to yours. And the person who got the same, who got that number will be the one who's fighting you. And yeah, guys, so it's basically the same system as what happened in the preliminary round of, the final round of the tuning exams arc in the canon Naruto. So yeah, they all draw lots, and the pairings are Yugito versus Yakumo, Deidara versus Shisui, Raiga versus Kimimaro, Anko versus Samui, Kisame versus Itachi. Yes, guys, we have that matchup here. And after that, we have C versus Karui, Darui versus Naruto, Akatsuchi versus Zabuza, and Omoi versus Kurotsuchi. So yeah, all of these people passed the second round, and yeah, this is the final round. So let's just, without further ado, just move on to the matches, because that's the exciting part. But yeah, before that, I'm just going to tell you like who all was spectating. The important people. So of course there's a Mizukage, who's Yagura Karatachi, and there's Onoki because a team from the Stone Village also got through, and the Raikage A was also there as well because two teams from the Cloud Village passed, and of course not Hiruzen, Minato was there as well because of course two teams from his village made it through. And even though Minato said that he was busy with Natsumi and stuff, he obviously had to come to the Chunin exams because if it wasn't for Naruto, it was for the political alliance that he could try to get with the Mizukage, and even like meet the other Kages and try to like uh, you know create some sort of agreement that would ensure peace between them for at least the near future. So yeah, these were the people who were spectating. So now let's move on to Yugito versus Yakumo, and the announcer is going to be, and the proctor is going to be Fuguki again. And the reason why I'm using Fuguki here is because I don't really know anyone else from the Mist Village who is, important enough to like be a proctor, but unimportant enough to not like be at a bit of a higher position. So that's why I picked Fuguki here. So yeah, we move on to Yugito versus Yakumo. So as Fuguki announces that the match is starting, Yugito charges at Yakumo while Yakumo quickly draws and unrolls a scroll and starts drawing on it. And as she draws, lightning bolts strike at near Yugito's position. So basically, as Yugito's charging, lightning bolts keep coming at her from the sky, and a few of them actually manage to catch her because of how fast lightning is. But due to the power of the two tails, she was kind of like unscathed, except like there were a few like scorch marks on her skin. But other than that, she was fine. And so Yugito was looking at her opponent and was like, "So this is the infamous so-called real genjutsu that the Kurama clan uses. Imagine what her potential is to be able to manipulate reality like that. I have to beat her fast, otherwise my ass is going to get beat." And with that thought, Yugito opened her mouth wide and was like, "Fire style hairball." Except and she launched a massive hairball out of her mouth, except it was made of blue fire, and it was quite obviously from her tail beast powers. And Yakumo quickly painted the hairballs on her scroll, and I mean the hairball, and then she basically drew on a bit of water to douse it. And the hairball is pretty massive, so she like drew a lot of water. But anyways, right as she did that and the water appeared, the hairball split into four fragments, all of which were heading to pincer her. And while this was happening, Yugito was not just hanging out there. And as Yakumo quickly tried to counter the hairballs, Yugito quickly got behind her, and she basically extended her nails and was about to swipe at her. And right as she did, she was like, "Looks like your weakness is that you can't really move from your spot, huh?" And she basically slashed against her, except Yakumo disappeared in a puff of smoke and appeared somewhere else in the arena. And in her place, a log of wood appeared, and Yugito was like, "What?" And Yakumo was like, "You're right, but I developed some ways to counter that." So, anyways, Yugito's like, "This girl is getting too comfortable here. I have to end this quickly." So basically, she drew upon her two tails chakra, and she was like, bubbling with that red, chakra, and she basically blitzed towards Yakumo at speeds faster than Yakumo could react. And Yakumo quickly tried to create an earth wall to stop her, and she like drew one, and one popped out, but then it was obviously too weak to stop Yugito. And Yugito pretty much like was able to hit Yakumo, and due to Yakumo's weak physical stature, she wasn't really able to take it, and she went unconscious, and she fell unconscious, and Yugito was pronounced as a winner. And alright, guys, so next we have Deidara versus Shisui. So the match started, and Deidara was like, "I'll show you my art, Shisui." And Shisui was like, "Too much information." And Deidara got pretty pissed, and he basically took out a bit of clay and made those little insect things that he makes. And he was like, "Have a taste of my C1." And he threw them at Shisui, and Shisui quickly substituted himself out of the way and was like, "Wow, Deidara. I mean, sure, I suspected before, but I didn't know you swung that way." And Deidara was like, "Ah, how dare you diss my art? Now witness my C2 dragon as it blows its load all over you." And Shisui was like, "No thanks, man." And he basically started teleporting all over the arena, creating after images, of course with his 3 Tomoe Sharingan switched on.
And Deidara was like, "Huh? Which one is the real one?" And from around the arena, Shisui was like, "You don't know what real art is, Deidara. Your little clay toys are not art. This is." And he basically, teleported all over, slicing into Deidara's C2 dragon. And once he was done, the clay pieces that he sliced off slid off the dragon, creating a perfect sculpture of a middle finger that was pointing towards Daedra. And Daedra was like, "How dare you ruin my art with your indecent profanities? Show yourself so I can finish this." And Shisui was like, "Well, as you wish." And through Daedra's left shoulder, Shisui stabbed his katana, and I mean, not his katana, his tonto. And basically, Daedra was like, "You bastard!" And Shisui basically chopped him out of the on the neck so that he didn't try anything, and Deidara basically, fell unconscious, and Shisui is pronounced the winner. So the next match we have is Raiga versus Kimimaro, and I'm pretty sure you guys know how this is gonna go. So when the match started, Raiga basically brought out his lightning swords and was like, "Ah, Kaguya clan member, let me create the best funeral for you." And Kimimaro was like, "Sorry, I'm not interested." And as Raiga charged towards him, Kimimaro dodged, and because lightning swords could basically cut through his bone, like especially if he wasn't reinforcing his bone. So when Raiga saw that he had sliced nothing, he was like, "Eh?" And Kimimaro was like, "You're pathetic. I'll make this easy for you." And he announced Dance of the Camellia. And he brought out a long bone out of his shoulder, which pissed Yagura off when like he was sitting in the audience. But he knew that he couldn't act against someone who was now a part of the Leaf Village, because Kimimaro was still a civilian when he left the Mist Village. So he basically bared no responsibility towards the Mist Village. So, anyways, Kimimaro blitzed towards Raiga and was like, "Let this be a lesson to you to not underestimate others." And with extremely fast speeds, he carved into Raiga's chest the words "poop face," and basically knocked Raiga out, and he was pronounced the winner. And Kimaru's action even made Naruto snort, and Naruto in laughter basically. And Naruto was able to hold in his laughter with even the stunt that Shisui pulled. But what Kimimaru did was, kind of caused him to not really be able to hold in that snort of laughter anymore. So, anyways, Kimimaro made his way back to the stage, and next we have Anko versus Samui. And obviously, since Anko is the main character, you know who's going to win. Uh, and I don't even really know much about what Samui can do, so I'll just you know make a few of the stuff up. So as I usually do. Anyways, as the match started, Samui kind of maintained her cool, and Anko also, because of the time that she spent with Naruto and Itachi, she also knew how to kind of rein herself in a bit, and not really be much of an explosive person. So she was also calmly assessing her opponent. However, as they kept waiting for each other to make the move, to make a move, Anko kind of lost her patience and kind of charged at Samui to test out the waters a bit, as they say. So she and Samui were just engaging in a taijutsu fight, and seeing that Samui quickly switched to a sword, Anko realized that Samui wasn't really well versed in taijutsu, but she was more of a kenjutsu type fighter. And since Anko didn't really have a blade that could match the reach of Samui's, she knew that she had to go long range. So she took a jump back and basically extended her hands and was like shadow snake hands, or striking shadow snakes, or whatever you call them. You know, the thing where the snakes come out of your hands. So, anyways, like about 10 snakes from each hand, basically blitzed like bullets towards Samui, and Samui tried to use her blade to defend against them, and she was able to slice off a few of their heads. But they were being replaced with other snakes, so she kind of had to jump back and gain a bit of distance before, trying to counterattack. So as she jumped back, the snakes tried to follow, but she quickly weaved a few hand signs and was like, lightning style, lightning bullets, and she basically incinerated the snakes with those bullets, like basically fried them pretty much, and Anko was like, pretty good technique. And not wanting to give Anko the chance to go on the offensive again, Samui quickly, tried to close the distance between herself and Anko, because she realized that, Anko would do better in this fight long range. So as she was making her way towards Anko, she quickly noticed that she was starting to sink into the ground, and she tried to jump, but then it was too late, and she was caught inside the earth, halfway, until her knees, basically. And Anko was like it? It's the legendary Sanin Jiraya's legendary Dark Swamp technique. My snakes have analyzed it and studied on how to replicate it. And Samui grit her teeth in anger, and she tried to break out. And as she was breaking out, Anko used her Earth Affinity and her training in Earth Affinity to cause the Earth to pull her down further until she was basically part of her torso was also in the Earth. And now Samui basically couldn't really do anything, so she had to resign. So Samui resigned, and Anko won the fight. So yeah, so as they, Fuguki announced that Anko won the fight. Of course, Naruto and Itachi congratulated her, and they told her it was a pretty, well played match, and a pretty intelligently played match. And obviously, Anko was pretty happy with the praise. And we move on to the next match, and I think this is one that you all are waiting for, and it's Kisame versus Itachi. So unfortunately, Kisame doesn't have Samehara yet. Otherwise, like if he had Samehara, it would be like game changing. He would beat Itachi, uh, because Itachi isn't like quite the level that he was like when he joined the Akatsuki yet. And while Kisame wasn't is not at that level either, I think that if he had Samehara, it would like make that big of a difference. But anyways. And Kisame was just fighting with a regular katana. So as the match started, Itachi was like, "So Kisame, we meet again." And as he did this, he pointed his finger towards Kisame, placing a genjutsu on him. But Kisame obviously wasn't aware, and Kisame was like, "Heck yeah, I wish I could beat your guys' asses when I met you on that island, but now I have a chance to go all out with you." And inwardly, Itachi was thinking, is it just me, or today is everyone, or at least most of the people who are participating, trying to say something obscene? And Itachi, like obviously maintained his cool exterior, and he started fighting against Kisame. So as Itachi put a genjutsu on Kisame pretty like explicitly, a second one basically. Kisame easily broke out of it and was like, I have a lot of chakra. You can't put me in a genjutsu that easily. And Itachi was inwardly howling with laughter because of Kisame's stupidity, and to think he actually seemed to be the smart one of his team. So yeah, but anyways, he still maintained his calmness, and did a flower jutsu, and basically launched that at Kisame, who countered with 5 water shark bombs that basically extinguished all the fireballs. Kisame basically inhaled a huge amount of water and was like water style, exploding water shockwave. And he basically launched a huge amount of water from his mouth that basically covered the entire arena in like a few meters of water. And Kisame saw that he had caught Itachi off guard, and he decided to basically end it here, and he basically swam towards Itachi with his katana, and like Itachi was basically drowning here, and right as he was about to, slice Itachi's head off, Itachi was like, "You might want to think of your position right now before you try to continue fighting." And Kisame was like, "Eh? What do you mean?" And Itachi released his genjutsu, and Kisame found that he was tied up with rope, and Itachi was pointing his kunai at his throat, and he was like, "What genjutsu? But how? When? I didn't even look into your Sharingan, and I broke out of the first genjutsu you put on me." And Itachi was like, "Who told you I need a Sharingan to cast a genjutsu on you?" And Kisame was like, "What then? How? No way! When you pointed your finger." And Itachi was like, whatever, I win. And he basically went back to the arena to join Naruto and Anko, who congratulated him. But as this is Itachi's pretty cliche win in any fight. They didn't really like go too deep into the praises. So, anyways, they we move on to the next fight, which is C versus Karvi. So, this one is a pretty irrelevant fight, especially because it's between two of the really side characters in the story. So I'm just going to give you like a really brief brief description of the fight. So Akaru, as usual, lost her temper before the fight even started and ran charged towards C, and C basically he's a genjutsu kind of guy. So sorry, not a genjutsu, a sensory type of guy. So he was easily able to sense Karui's movements and counter with his sword. But Karui was a lot more like offensive type of fighter, and she was able to do put more cuts on C, but C was able to be strategic and cut her with the sword in more vital areas. But the thing is, at the end, both of them ran out of stamina and they were bleeding too heavily, and they knocked each other out, and it was a double knockout. And now finally we have Darui versus Naruto. So you all know who's going to win this one. And so anyways, Naruto and Darui, like when the fight starts, Naruto and Darui kind of analyze each other before Darui starts using his katana to uh, basically launch himself at Naruto and start fighting. And Naruto also pulls out a bone from his shoulder using his a classic dance of the camellia. But also from time to time he also like grows his nails using the combination of oh wait, sorry, never mind, he's not in sage mode. Forget that part. So anyways, they both keep like dueling with each other with Naruto's like bone sword and Darui's regular sword. And Naruto notices that Darui starts infusing lightning into his sword, so he also infuses wind into his bone sword. And Darui offhandedly tells Naruto that he is quite skilled in elemental manipulation for such a young age. And Naruto was like, "Thank you, you are as well." And they keep fighting, and Darui basically bounces back, and he was like, "So, Naruto, have you ever wondered why they call me Darui of the Dark Thunder?" And Naruto's like, "No, not really. I thought it wasn't very important." And at this, Darui kind of got pissed, and he was like, "Why you?" And Naruto was like, So it looks like there is a way to break your composure." And Darui, realizing what he was doing, quickly went back to his calm, state, and was like, "This is the reason." And he waved a few hand signs and was like, "Lightning style, Black Thunder Spear." And he threw a spear of black lightning at Naruto. And Naruto was like, That's a very impressive technique. I don't think I can counter it with wind release." So Naruto basically put his hands on the ground and basically straining himself, he used earth manipulation to, push the platform that Darui was underneath. And he was like, "Earth style, mobile core." and that move didn't really like deplete his chakra levels much, but it was just a bit difficult to do because he didn't use that jutsu much before. And Darui's thunder spear basically struck you know, the earth deep below Naruto's feet. But Naruto was able to feel the shockwave, from where he was standing, and he was able to see that there were several cracks. Like he was able to sense the several cracks that the lightning spear had created in the earth. And Darui was like, "Well, that's one way to stop my jutsu," and Naruto was like, "An effective way, anyways." And he did a few hand seals together and was like, "Scorch release, extremely steaming murder." And he basically created 6 balls of scorch release and launched them towards Darui. And he pointed his fingers towards them and was like, drilling finger bullets, and bones from his fingers shot out like bullets through the scorch release and were enveloped in fire, and created fiery projectiles that launched themselves onto Darui. And Darui didn't know what to do. Like the earth was too far above him to substitute out of the way back onto Naruto's field, and like Naruto's level, and he didn't really have enough room to dodge everything, from where he was standing. But suddenly an idea struck him, and he was like, water style, water shockwave. And he created a huge water shockwave that kind of, brought him back to the level of Naruto as he was using chakra to stand on the water. And Naruto was like, quick thinking, and Darui was like, thanks. And Darui did a few quick hand signs, and while he was doing that, he was like, "Anyways, you're not the only one with the Kekkei Genkai." And Darui was like, "Storm release, laser circus." And as the laser circus bullets came towards Naruto, Naruto was like, he's clearly had much more practice with the laser circus. I cannot control those many bullets using the laser circus yet. However, and as he was saying that, he was like, ice release, a hail of blades, and he was like he basically like pulled this one out of his ass pretty much, and it was just like a bigger version of ice release 1000 flying water needles. So he directed each of his ice blades to each of the storm release laser circus bullets, and each of them like cut through them and went straight at Darui. While Naruto substituted out of the way to get out of the way of any residual attack, any residues of the attack that was heading for him. And Darui couldn't change the direction of his laser circus anymore because he had to focus on the ice blades that were directed towards him. So basically, what he did was he put his hands together and he was like, water style, encampment wall. And he created a huge wall of water around him, and the ice blades like basically went through and like kind of fell the other side. And Darui was pretty surprised at the force that they were going, because that water wall was supposed to like stop them completely like before they penetrated, but then they were able to penetrate even though like they kind of just fell to the ground afterwards. uh, so Darui was like, looks like I have no choice, I have to go all out with this guy. And he was like, well, Naruto, you have earned my respect, so I shall use my ultimate jutsu on you. And Naruto raised an eyebrow, and Darui put his hands together and was like, lightning style, Black Panther. And he basically created a Black Panther, and made it go towards Naruto, and it was like basically blitzing towards Naruto. And Naruto was like, that is a rather big panther. The only jutsu that I have in my arsenal that's large enough to take that on is my fire style jutsu. So Naruto put his hands in a horse hand sign and took as much air in as he could, and he was like, fire style, majestic destroyer flame. And he blew a massive plume of fire out, and it basically encompassed the entire arena around him, including Darui. And once Naruto was sure that the Black Panther was gone, he ended the jutsu to find Darui lying on the ground, scorched. And he had obviously put another water encampment wall around himself in order to shield him, but then the fire probably evaporated that as well, and scorched him. But obviously, he was still alive. Naruto didn't kill Darui, and yeah, so basically Fubuki acknowledged Naruto as a winner, and we move on to the next match. So next we have Akatsuchi versus Zabuza, and I'm pretty sure you know who wins this one. It's going to be Zabuza. I'm just going to give you the short a short version because these are two pretty irrelevant characters. So when the match starts, Akatsuchi makes an earth golem to fight for him, and he's like on the back of the golem. And Zabuza counters by creating a massive water dragon. And even though earth is stronger than water, the water in the water dragon made the earth dragon like all muddy and unstable. So sorry, not earth dragon, the earth golem. So the earth golem kind of just like fell apart after the water dragon hit it. So like Akatsuchi was stuck with fighting Zabuza without the golem, and yeah, he threw a bunch of earth jutsu at Zabuza, but none of them really worked. And Zabuza kind of got into his guard and used the Executioner's blade to fight Akatsuchi, who only had like a kunai, a standard kunai for defending, and he imbued the kunai with earth chakra to reinforce it. But ultimately it wasn't enough, and right before Zabuza was about to like chop his head off, Akatsuchi resigned from the match, and Zabuza was declared as the winner. So now we move on to the last match, guys, and this is Omoi versus Kurotsuchi. And again, these two are pretty irrelevant characters here, even though Kurotsuchi becomes a future Tsuchikage. So yeah, I'm going to keep this one short again. So basically, when the match starts, Omoi like starts overthinking the hell out of the situation, and Kurotsuchi basically uses this time to cover Omoi with quicklime and hardens it into cement. And Omoi breaks out and tries to tries to come at her with his sword, but then Kurotsuchi just covers her fist in earth and starts like engaging him in a taijutsu battle, and they're kind of at an impasse, but then Kurotsuchi eventually breaks Omoi's sword, and Omoi resigns, making Kurotsuchi the winner. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. You've seen the winners of the tuning exams, first part of the final round. I know I said that I'll try to cover the whole thing, but then there's like too much to say about each of the fights. I'll do it in the next part. Like I'll finish the tuning exams. I'll keep the fights a lot shorter, like each one 2 minutes max. And I'm going to try to get until the part where Naruto, finally can become a sensei for Natsumi. Yeah, I know, pretty ambitious, but then that's what I plan to do for the next part. I'm going to like kind of plan everything out and make sure I can do it within the 1 hour time slot for that part. I know I kind of overshot an hour here, but then a few minutes here and there is not hurting anyone. So yeah, so if you like this part, give this video a like, and feel free to comment your thoughts on this video, and your ideas on how to continue the series, and also feel free to comment your ideas for future what ifs that I can do. Like even though it's kind of planned out for the rest of the year what ifs I'm gonna do, but yeah, your ideas are still welcome. So with all that said, thanks for watching, guys.